Maybe this feels familiar. She pulled back, got distant, started replying slower, acting like she didn't care if you stayed or walked away. And deep down, you felt that shift, that quiet ache in your chest, the one that said something's off, but you kept hoping she'd come back around. You replayed the good moments, the way she used to look at you, the spark that made you believe this was different. But then it happened. She stopped trying, and everything in you wanted to reach out, to fix it, to make her see what she was about to lose. You wanted to chase, because that's what you've always done. You care deeply, you love fully, and somehow it always ends with you being the one left wondering what went wrong. If this is you, you've probably asked yourself, why do they always pull away right when I give them my best? You've probably stared at your phone, debating if sending that one last message would change anything. You've tried to convince yourself she just needs space, when really she's testing something inside you. And this time you didn't chase. You went silent. You let her feel your absence. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally realized what chasing costs a man. Now she's wondering where you went. The silence she once wanted suddenly feels heavy. So what happens next, when the man she thought would always chase disappears instead? Most men get this part wrong because they let their emotions lead instead of their standards. When a woman pulls away, they panic. They start chasing validation instead of holding their ground. They think if they can just explain themselves, fix things, or prove their worth, she'll come back. But that's not strength, that's fear disguised as effort. A man grounded in his masculine frame knows that his presence alone is the value. He doesn't chase because he understands one simple truth. Desire can't be negotiated. You can't talk someone into wanting you. You can only embody the kind of man who doesn't lose himself when someone walks away. That's where most guys fall apart. They forget that masculine energy isn't about control, it's about composure. It's about staying centered no matter what storm is happening outside of you. When you disappear instead of chase, you're not playing games. You're showing emotional mastery. You're saying, my peace matters more than your attention. This is where women start to see the difference between a man who needs her and a man who chooses her. One is driven by emptiness, the other by purpose. And when you move from purpose, everything shifts. Your tone, your presence, your silence, it all carries weight. The moment you stopped chasing wasn't weakness, it was clarity. You finally understood that attraction grows in space, not in pressure. You stopped running toward her and started standing firm in who you are. And now she feels it, that calm certainty, that quiet confidence, the energy of a man who no longer seeks to be chosen, because he already chose himself. It started with a shift so small, you almost missed it. The way her eyes didn't light up the same when she saw you, the pauses between her texts grew longer. Her tone changed, softer, colder, distant. You told yourself not to overthink it, but something deep inside knew. You tried to keep it cool, act unfazed, but every silence felt heavier. Nights got quieter. You'd stare at your phone, waiting for her name to pop up, scrolling through old messages just to feel that closeness again. It used to be easy. Laughter, connection, rhythm. Now it felt like walking on glass. Then came that moment, the one you still remember. She said something small, almost careless, like it didn't matter, but it did. It hit you right in the chest. That's when you felt it. The part of you that always chased, always tried to fix, starting to die off. You didn't argue. You didn't explain. You just went quiet. You stopped checking if she viewed your story. You stopped rereading the last message. Days turned into weeks, and for the first time, the silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. You started to see yourself again in the mirror. Not the man trying to be enough for her, but the man who remembered his worth before she ever showed up. And now somewhere out there, she feels it too. The absence she thought would make her feel powerful now leaves her wondering what changed. She expected you to chase, but you disappeared instead. And in that silence, something inside her finally realized she wasn't the one who had the power all along. Most men grow up believing that if a woman pulls away, it means they need to do more. Say the right thing, prove their loyalty, show that they care. You've been conditioned to believe that effort equals value. But here's the truth. Chasing doesn't make her see your worth, and it makes her question it. When you overinvest where you're not being met, you're not being romantic, or you're being reactive. And a man who reacts from fear always loses himself first. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. You start bending who you are to keep her interested. You ignore her coldness. You explain her distance. You justify her indifference, all because you're terrified to lose her. But what if losing her isn't the loss? What if losing yourself trying to keep her is? Most men mistake attachment for love. They think holding tighter will make her stay, when in reality, the tighter you hold, the faster she pulls away. Love that costs your self-respect isn't love, it's addiction. Here's the second lie, that walking away means you don't care. That silence is weakness. The truth is, silence is power when it comes from peace, not ego. You're not ignoring her to win. You're protecting your energy. You're no longer trading your dignity for temporary attention. When you go quiet, you're not being cold. You're being clear. You're showing that your worth doesn't need to be argued for. And here's the final truth most men never learn. She doesn't fall for the man who chases her. She falls for the man she can feel would be completely fine without her. That's the paradox of attraction. It's not about pulling harder. It's about standing still in your strength. She expected you to come running, but you were already gone. Not out of pride, but out of peace. Once you stop chasing, everything shifts. She starts to see what you felt all along, that your presence was the gift, that your attention had weight, and that losing a man who knows his value is far more painful than being ignored by one who doesn't. The 1% headman doesn't move from emotion, he moves from principle. He understands that when someone pulls away, that's not a cue to chase, it's a cue to stand still. Most men act out of fear when they sense distance, but he knows that real power is found in restraint, not reaction. This is what he understands. Attention is valuable only when it's rare, and his presence is something that must be earned, not assumed. He doesn't need to prove himself because he's already built himself. His validation doesn't come from whether she texts back. It comes from the life he's building when no one's watching. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure. He's not trying to convince anyone to stay. He's giving them the space to choose. And that quiet confidence changes everything. When a woman pulls away, he doesn't chase her energy. He checks his own. He asks himself, am I in alignment with who I say I am? That's the difference between the average man and the headman. One reacts to loss, the other reflects on it. He knows that disappearing isn't about playing games, it's about protecting his focus. It's about sending a message without saying a word. That peace will never be sacrificed for temporary affection. The 1% headman understands that love isn't built on pursuit, it's built on polarity. When he walks away, it's not revenge, it's reverence for his own value. And because he leads from that place, his absence carries more weight than another man's words ever could. He doesn't chase what pulls away, because he knows what's real never runs. There's a moment, quiet, almost unnoticeable, when something inside you finally breaks, but in the best way possible. It's late. You're lying there, phone face down, no new notifications, no closure, no answers, just silence. And for the first time, you don't fight it. You don't rehearse what you'd say if she came back. You don't scroll through old photos trying to feel something again. You just breathe. And in that breath, something shifts. The ache you've been carrying starts to feel lighter, not because she reached out, but because you finally stopped waiting for her to. You realize you've spent so much time trying to prove you were enough for someone who couldn't even see your value. And now you're done handing your piece to someone who never knew what to do with it. You sit up and it hits you. All this time you weren't chasing her. You were chasing the part of yourself you lost when you made her the center of your world. You remember the man you were before the doubt, before the anxiety, before you started believing you had to earn love. He's still there, steady, patient, unshaken. That's the turning point, not anger, not revenge, just remembrance. The moment you stop asking, why didn't she choose me? And start saying, why did I forget to choose myself? And when you do, everything changes. The silence that used to hurt now feels like freedom. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to chase. You just stand there, calm, grounded, untouchable. And for the first time in a long time, you feel it, your worth echoing louder than her absence ever could. When you find a woman who brings peace instead of chaos, who challenges you but never disrespects you, who sees your vision and still loves the man you are today, that's rare. The world will tell you there's always someone better, but deep down you know loyalty, softness, and respect don't come around twice. So, if you have her, protect her, grow with her, and never take her calm for granted. Because at the end of it all, real love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about recognizing when you've already found someone worth keeping forever.